There's all different reasons why men end up at a men's shed. The different reasons, like most of them involve probably loss of a partner, that's a big one, either through death or divorce. Having a partner who's very unwell, and that has its own stresses and strains. We've had a few of them. Sometimes it just could be the guys that have never married, they're just lonely. Certainly for myself, it's opened up a lot of friendships that I wouldn't have had. And the other thing was my wife, who she was looking at me and she said, "Listen, Keith, you're becoming a bit of a miserable old sod." And I said, "Really?"
Hey guys, welcome back again to another brand new episode, which is also a continuation, part 2 of my chat with the men at the Jinjin's Men's Shed. I was honored to be joined by Keith, who is the president of the Men's Shed in Jinjin, who also shared his own personal journey and life experiences of what he's been through, but also how he's now become a huge part of the Men's Shed in Jinjin. But look, I had such a great time, and it was such an honor to have him on board and share his story, as we had quite a ball. So please stick around to hear his story, as it may share some pointers in how you can get involved with someone that you think could possibly benefit from. Maybe it's your pops, maybe it's your dad, or maybe it's your brother, or maybe it's your son. Whichever it may be, this could be the story that could help you make the decision in wanting to better your lives. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Hey guys, welcome back to the Roundtable. Again here with another episode, bringing it to you today from Jinjin, which I'm also back at the Men's Shed, but I'm also here joined by the president of the Men's Shed here, who will get to share insights about his own personal experiences of what the shed has meant for him. But look, I won't go into any more. We'll just have to stick around and find out more about what he gets to share with us today. But before we kick off, as always, the Roundtable symbolizes a safe space where stories are shared, voices heard, and lessons learnt. So, pull up a seat and join me on the journey, because every story shared here matters. Keith, welcome to the Roundtable.
Well, thank you, Taz. Appreciate having the opportunity to talk to you. And yes, my name's Keith Duke. I'm a Jinjin local, born here. My background was farming originally, which I did for about 30 or so years. And I worked on other farms, eventually getting into education. So I was a teacher, special ed teacher aide, and eventually went to university and became a special ed teacher, for unfortunately only for a couple of years though. My wife was battling chronic illness and still is, so that caused me to have to give that away.
Oh man, sorry about that. Hey.
Yeah, look, it was a lot of study that, not that I haven't used some of that since, you know, the skills you learn in a teaching degree, you can take them out into the real world. They help you at times. Yeah.
Okay, I suppose before we kind of dive into everything else, can you kind of just tell us, how did you get involved with the Men's Shed here in Jinjin?
Well, there was two reasons actually. The then president, chap by the name of Noel Matthew, lived 2 clicks down the road or so, and I'd known Noel for about 40 years or so. So I already had someone here who I felt comfortable with. I didn't know anybody else in the shed at the time, but at least I knew him. And the other thing was my wife, who she was looking at me and she said, "Listen, Keith, you're becoming a bit of a miserable old sod." And I said, "Really?" I didn't really appreciate that too much, but I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, you know, she's probably right. So in I came. It was a different setup back then in terms of personnel. The guys who were here then had done a magnificent job of setting the place up. It really, they did well. And what's more, they had a setup where they were sawing all their own timber, and that just ceased this year actually. So there was what you see here, but then there was a separate place out at Wallowville where we took people donated timber. We would take it there. We would cut it up. We would air stack it. So unlike a lot of sheds where we're relying on pallets and all these sorts of things, Gingin Men's Shed has its own timber supply and it's pretty big. So we were lucky in that regard. So that finished recently. The chap whose place we were cutting the timber on, he had to sell out. He was a Parkinson's sufferer, and that sort of that he's still alive, but it's in a bad way, kind of. Yeah. So that was a shame. And along the way, we've lost pretty much all the guys who I joined with or that were here have gone now. It's in the last 9 years. There's a sort of changing of the guard, but that's turned out all right. I mean, we have about a third of the guys that are coming in here now are actually very talented at woodwork. They probably some of them never knew this before they turned up. And they've had a go at various things, might be wood turning, box making, doesn't matter what it is. And all of a sudden they've gone, wow, I can actually do this. Better than that, I can do it really well. And I reckon that's added a dimension to their lives that probably wasn't there before. The men's shed itself, the whole thrust of the thing's about men's mental health. So when I joined, there was a little bit of a culture of, let's put him through the ringer a bit and see how he goes, And but I, having all the life experience I had, I kind of knew what was going on, and I just kept my head down a bit and behaved myself, and it all went well in the end. Yeah.
With that being said, you mentioned your wife pretty much kicked you out the door to go and do something for yourself. How did you actually even come across the men's shed then? Like, how did you?
Well, I guess because we'd known Noel for all that time, we knew that it existed, and we knew a bit about it, but not a lot. You know what I mean? So it was it was a learning curve coming in. But look, I've still got all my fingers. I've done all right.
Touch wood.
Touching wood when I say that. Actually, like table saws and things, you've got to be so careful with them. They can go bad on you real quick. And I had two things happen early in the year, and I've banned myself off them for a bit until I'm quite happy to step back and let someone else saw for me now. Yes, like I said, still got them all, and I want to keep them.
Yeah, absolutely. What have been some of the benefits that you've seen for yourself, and maybe even some of the other men that you've seen come through here?
Certainly for myself, it's opened up a lot of friendships that I wouldn't have had. I've met people that, I've seen them around for years, but you've never run into them socially or whatever. And you suddenly discover, we've got all manner of things in common, so it's been great in that regard. And for the men that attend, there's at least two of those fellas down through the years have expressed that they were on the verge of suicide, or at the very least were considering it. And they said that the coming here had altered their thinking on that. And so I think actually there's three, now I think about that. So that's a bit of a major thing, And having experienced a friend suiciding back in the day, I was aware of just how terrible that is. I mean, it's bad the person's gone, but the amount of damage it does to everyone around them it's pretty big, and it goes on. That's the thing. Yeah. So, being involved in something that's helping people to avoid that's a good thing, And look, that's just the stories I know. I mean, there'll be others here that are probably the same deal, but they're not going to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the guys that are starting to turn up now, yes, this changing of the guard thing, it's been really good. We're getting quality people, you know what I mean? You sort of know their background a bit when you live in a little community like this. And the people that are turning up, I suspect they'll go very, very well in the future, I really do. A lot of hope for the place, We're going to need a bigger shed.
You heard it here. They need a bigger shed.
Yes, that's a definite thing. What was been said by a lot of people that sort of went to join, had a look and went, oh, there's a lot of people that are metal workers, not necessarily woodworkers as such, and they would like their separate section. So
Oh, okay.
that could be interesting. You know, we could put a lathe in and this and that, and they could do things up, and that would add a whole new thing to us. You know, so that's the future. I'm hoping. Yeah.
And also therapy, where people, as you mentioned.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, some like these guys, they're so talented. Some of them, it's ridiculous. You know, like, I'm a try hard. You know what I mean? Every now and then I'll make something and I go, oh, gee, I'm really proud of that. That's nice. You know. But these guys, it's almost everything they do. You just look at them and go, wow, how did they do that? You know, and yeah, and I think that's the thing. A lot of men probably in their normal working lives, they probably don't get that opportunity to be that creative. You know what I mean? You're just out there, you're doing whatever, farming or whatever, and yeah, the opportunity for creativity is not so much. You know, so for them to come here and be able to express that as they getting on in the years, good thing. You know, it's a good thing. Yeah.
What about the mental state with some of the guys too, like who've probably had their own.
Yeah, look, we've having worked in special ed, I suppose I've seen more interesting things with people than a lot. You know, there's you just know when someone's not right or going well. You know what I mean? Now, I suppose that's what teaching did for me. It gave me that insight into who's going well and who's not. So I'm probably better than average at picking that. And when you see that, well, you'll take that person aside. You'll have a yarn with them, and you know you don't have to do a hell of a lot to make a difference. Sometimes I've discovered that. You know. Yeah. Sometimes it's just that talk that you've had that you know, and
Well, can you kind of just walk us through what that would look like?
oh, you would just take them somewhere where there's no, you know, it's just you, just the two of you, and just sort of say, well, look, you know, how's it going? What's going on? And they might, and if they're open to telling you, they're going to tell you, and if they're not, they're not. You know, it's as simple as that. In this setting, most people are kind of open to having a yarn with about what's going on, and yes, every now and then you'll hear something that'll make you go, holy heck, you know, I wouldn't have thought that. But things don't go any further, of course. You know what I mean? It's confidential. Whatever gets said gets said.
Yeah.
And of course, smoko time here at the men's shed. That's generally when the bullshit comes out, and it's it gets quite outrageous. You know, it's a good thing we don't get taped every smoko. Political correctness may not apply. You know. But generally speaking, and of course we've got female members now, which is a new development. Not something I you know, when it got brought up to me, I thought about it and I thought, oh, could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. You know what I mean? And it's turned out to be very good. The girls slotted in nicely. I mean, they might hear the odd thing that, you know, but generally speaking, the boys have been really good with them, and the girls have stepped up and done all manner of good stuff. So we cannot complain, you know.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity of meeting Gail, who's not here today. She did tell me she had to take off to Brisbane, get something sorted out with her health.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines.
She's in nursing, Gail. I bet she'd be a hell of a good nurse to have turned up if you're in trouble. She would be great at it. You know, you can just tell some people they got that bit of feeling for people. Yeah, and very talented woodworker too. I should add too. You know.
Yeah, she showed me her little thing she created. It's like a jigsaw puzzle holder, cover holder.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so she kind of explained it. Says it's to hold the cover up. So while you're trying to put the pieces together, you can kind of see the actual workout, the design of what you're trying to put together. So, you know, I thought it was a great idea.
Oh, look, they come up with some good stuff. And I just got into trouble just before, actually. Marie is making this rather beautiful little thing about this round. It's about that high, and I said, "Oh, you've made a Chihuahua show stand. You know, the Chihuahua just bounces up there and it looks wonderful. You know." No, that's not what it was. Apparently, I'm in trouble again. Yeah, it's the stuff they come up with is almost limitless. You know, it's just amazing. There's a lot of good thinking goes on in there. And of course, as you get older, it's a great thing to exercise your mind and use your maths and use that spatial stuff. You know what I mean? If we don't, it's a use it or lose it type of world. And if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So, you know.
And it's also a place to, I suppose, to build up mateship, connections, and staying in contact with each other.
There's a great camaraderie among this mob, and we're very lucky. You know what I mean? I've been in other organisations where that didn't really exist, and for some reason here it's rife. Camaraderie is rife, which is good. You know, I think that we must have worked on that, but I couldn't tell you how we did that. It must have been. I suppose you're just creating a general feeling in the place that hello, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You know,
Happy vibes.
Happy vibes. If you play up, yeah, you know, the door's there. We haven't had very many people come in the last 9 years and play up. Maybe 2, you know. So, but gee, when you think about those odds, not bad, is it? You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But we keep. As long as we keep getting the sort of people turning up and wanting to join that we're getting at the moment, place has got a good future coming, you know. Yeah, a lot of good people.
Hey guys, thanks again for tuning back in. And if you're finding value in today's show, then please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share with someone that you possibly know could benefit from what you've heard today. And so, without further ado, you know the drill. Let's get back to it. So, what's something you'd like to see improved upon here?
Well, you know, as far as us having, like we're doing raffles, we go to the good old Bucker Hotel every now and then for raffles, and we're making stuff to sell in the shop down at Ace Hardware. Big shout out to Ace Hardware to Claire for letting us do that, because I mean she just given us a little part of a shop. How magnificent is that? You know, no charge, no nothing. Plus people come in and bring jobs to us and all this sort of thing. All that add together, we make an income enough to sort of keep the place rolling. It would be an absolute joy and a pleasure if someone corporate stepped up and said, hello, we'll pay your insurance bill for the year. Then we could concentrate more on the real mental health things that we could be doing. You know, we could be doing more in that area, whereas we're actually busy doing survival stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
We could be doing more social stuff too. You know what I mean? But by the time you bang on people, hello, you know, how do you feel about turning up this Sunday at the pub and selling raffle tickets? Well, you know, it mightn't be a problem for some guys, and for some guys it is, and it's it takes that away a little bit. You know what I mean? If we could have the luxury of getting a bit of sponsorship, would be wonderful. Yeah, that's for sure. Other than that, I mean, we put in for grants and things. We get new machinery and stuff. There's an extraction system in there for the dusts, and 2 of them actually. And from that point of view, we've got the safety issues sorted pretty well in that shed. Yeah.
Okay, so ideally, with the sawdust, if anyone's interested, they can come and take it off your hands.
Oh, anyone wanting a bag of sawdust has just got to turn up, my word. But we require the bags back. That's the only thing. Yeah, because there's special bags that fit our machine.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, bring your own bags.
That's it.
For someone that's interested in wanting to attend the men's shed here, what could they expect on arrival?
Okay. Well, you can expect a greeting from either myself or Rob or one of the other committee members. Generally speaking, you'll get a tour. Um, you'll get asked, have you got previous experience? Because we don't just turn people loose on the machinery. So basically, and then if you go, yeah, rightio, I don't mind. The guys are okay. We have a couple of weeks where you just come in, you pay your $2 for smoko, you attend, you get to know everyone, and you make a decision: do I want to be involved with this mob or not? You know what I mean? And if your decision's yes, well then you come back, and then we start to orientate you on all the machinery. And in actual fact, we don't do it yet, but everyone will be getting a booklet with the basic constitution and safety and all that stuff. It's all going to be, we're busy compiling that right now, actually. And I think that's pretty important, that people are informed that, this is what you're getting into,
Yeah.
You couldn't just turn someone loose in there, there's too many body bits in there, yeah. But now we've got at least 2 or 3 people that have had, cabinet making experience and stuff. So there are guys in there that know exactly what they're doing. Good. Wood turning's another interesting one. I don't know if anyone's, if you ever want to get into something that's fun and a bit challenging, wood turning should do it, because, wow, you can have some fun turning wood. And it's very... you get in a zone, it's like a lot of things, you get into that zone where you're just, that's all you're doing, baby. You're not, you're not worried about Donald Trump or or Elbow or anyone like that. You're just in there,
You're in the zone right now.
You're probably right. And look, mentioning politics, like a thinking man in this day and age could probably give himself a pretty fair headache, couldn't he, when he looks around the world, and we can't, as little people we're not going to make much of a difference to that. Doesn't matter what we do, But my thoughts on that are, well, all right, where can you make a difference? And the difference you can make is right in your own community with your own people. And if you're helping that to be more successful and a happier place, then you've probably succeeded, in quite that's a success to me. So that's the way I think about it.
Okay. So for someone that would be interested in wanting to attend the men's shed here,
basically we do have signs up with phone numbers down at Ace Hardware there where our shop is, and that's probably what we haven't been doing. We probably haven't been putting it out in the community as much as we should have. We should probably have signs. We did have a sign at the IGA at one point, but I don't think that's there anymore. So a bit more signage around the place that, yes, we do exist, would probably be a damn good idea. We get a mention on the radio every now and then because we do stuff for the radio station. When they have a raffle or whatever, we'll donate. So we get mentioned there. But then I'm not sure how many listeners they have or not, I'm thinking, as a podcast, I bet you have a lot more people watching.
Not as much, but we will now.
Look, it's definitely a force for good. And when you think that in Gingin itself, we've lost the Lions, we've lost Rotary, and the Masons have gone in the last few years, that doesn't leave a heck of a lot of people doing much for the community. You know what I mean? They were the mainstays, really. So the men's sheds probably plays a pretty important role, really. We've stepped up.
Yeah. Well, how about a social media platform? Is there some way that people could find you guys there?
Look, we are. Recently, we've probably been on social media a bit. The shed people who are the major sponsors for, I think all build they are sheds. Major sponsors for Men's Shed Australia have been in and they have done a bit of a film up of us, and apparently we're out there more than we've been. I think that you said you'd seen that somewhere, hadn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
So where did you see that one?
Facebook feed, I think it was, when it came through.
Right. So
obviously you guys have a Facebook page as well.
yes, but probably not as active on as we ought to be, because we're not really that age, most of us, The best thing that got said to me in recent times by a new member, Gavin, he's about 84, farming guy, very successful, good man. And he piped up and said, there's something I regret about the men's shed. And I thought, oh, here we go. This will be good. And he piped up and he said, yeah, I regret that I never joined years ago. And I said, really? And he said, look, I've just had the most wonderful time, and it gets better every time I come in. He's making stuff for his grandkids. He's having a ball, So I think that was probably for me personally, I just went, wow, we're doing something right here, aren't we,
So if you could give one or two pieces of advice for someone that may be interested in wanting to join, what would that be?
Look, just come in with an open heart and give it a go. And you will know Wednesday and Friday mornings we operate at the shed here at the back of the Gin Showgrounds. We come in off Appland Terrace, there's a gate there. Come in and give it a go. And I will be surprised if you're upset about anything you see. And I probably want to know if you are, actually, because we've obviously done something wrong if that was to happen. But most people come in, they enjoy the experience, and many of them come back, so that's good,
Yeah, nice. That's great work. And look, I suppose before we kind of wrap up, any final thoughts?
Look, the men's shed for me personally has been a great thing. There's all different reasons why men end up at a men's shed. The different reasons, like most of them involve probably loss of a partner. That's a big one, either through death or divorce. Having a partner who's very unwell, that's the second one, and that has its own stresses and strains. We've had a few of them. Sometimes it just could be the guys that have never married, they're just lonely. Simple as that, you know what I mean? And as you age, your friends tend to drop off the perch a bit, and all of a sudden you've got a much less friend base than you had. So there's another one. Yeah, and some guys do have some pretty major health issues too, which are sort of not doing them any favours. Those fellas, I reckon, live longer when they get involved with this. There's something about that too. I've noted that. They tend to hang in. They're trying a bit harder. That's what I think's going on. Yes, I think about old Barry, who recently is retired from the men's shed. He was our timber man with the saws and all that, and a great guy. And they amaze you. They keep turning up. You know what shape they're in. You know what I mean? Most people would not be getting out of bed, but they've come in here and they're doing their thing, And I can just recall one of the funniest moments with him, actually, where we did this 1908 cane wagon up, right, for Spring Lakes retirement village. It's in there, and we're on the way to Gympie to get the wheels. We got them done by a wheelwright because they wanted them right, we wanted them right,
That's right.
So we're heading down the road. We've got the wheels on the back of the trailer or whatever, and Barry's in the front. And of course, Parkinson's, one of the things that happens to you start to lose your voice. And he piped up and said, in a fairly low tone, I'm yelling at you boys, Anyway, that's all good. And we're in the back, there's myself and old Normie, and we're sitting there, and I said, don't worry about it, Barry. I said, we're all deaf in the back here. We can't hear you anyway. And there's the sort of things, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's just one of those funny moments. And our excursions out to get timber, they were always priceless, you know. Like, yeah, it was just. It's a bit of a shame that era's over. Now we might have to recreate something to do with that because there were some funny things happen when you get out there. You've got, you know, one guy wanted to race up the side of this hill and, you know, take down half of this timber, and everyone else is looking at it going, no, let's not do that. We could see, all we could see on that hill was death and destruction, you know. So, yeah. No, we've had some good moments, and we will continue to have good moments, yeah, we extend that shed, and we get a heap of new members, metalworking members. That will be a big coup for us. Yeah, major. And look, thank you for doing this. It's a wonderful thing you're up to. Yeah, should be more people like you out there doing stuff like this. Good
I
on you.
appreciate that. Thanks too. But hey, more importantly, it's just trying to raise that awareness in the community to get some more support with what you guys are doing. I think it's brilliant. I think it's awesome that you get to come to a place like this. Even when someone's feeling down or out, as soon as they rock up, they're probably feeling like, oh, it's so good to be home. You know, a home away from home.
Yes, and I mean the trick is to not make them feel uncomfortable on that first couple of days in. You know what I mean? If you can get past that, you're generally pretty right.
Yeah. Well, look, for all the great work you're doing here in the community for the guys here in Gin as well, I'll also kind of add the links on your Facebook page once everything's ready to go, rock and roll. Get the word out, and then can kind of get it posted up onto your Facebook page. But
We'd
again,
love to see that.
yeah. Again, I really appreciate you taking the time to share the story, the camaraderies, the fun, the laughter. It seems like everyone could take a lift from your page of, you know, bringing humor and connections and mateship together in places like this. So I think they could all learn from what you guys have done here.
Thank you.
So again, Keith, thanks for joining me at the round table.
Thanks, Taz. Appreciate it, Aidan. Yes, very much so. I better sign this table.
Yeah, absolutely.